the Kenai Peninsula. The Kenai Peninsula Fjords. The Kenai Fjords. I might be saying all of that wrong, but that's what we paint today. It's very easy to paint this one, and it's such a beautiful place. I've never been to it. It's in Alaska, and the only way I even know about it is through a slideshow yesterday that I watched. Robin's family went to Alaska, and Robin's sister-in-law was showing slides on the TV with her phone, which I love the fact that we watch slideshows on our TVs now. But I was mesmerized. All of the beautiful, beautiful photographs she took were just outstanding. And almost every one of them asked me to make it into a reference photo so I could paint it. So I didn't, of course. I should have, I could have. She probably would have let me. I just didn't ask, but I did put it in my mind. Especially these islands that are in the water that just push up out of the water, and they have trees growing on them like little tiny ecosystems all their own. There's probably animals that live up there. Maybe they're safe from predators, I don't know. They're probably really cold, I would imagine, up in Alaska, right? But anyway, you always want to live on a tropical island. Well, what about an Arctic island? Would you want to live on an Arctic island? There's no beach. There sort of is, I guess, on the bottom. Anyway, so this was a pretty easy one to paint, and a very rewarding one to paint. And the card itself will go to, of course, Robin's sister-in-law, because she showed us this beautiful slideshow yesterday. So the video is about half hour long, so it should be a short one. And I'm going to show you how I painted this right now. Here we go. All right, let's get started with water. Let's create a very beautiful, misty kind of a backdrop for our painting today. So when I was a kid, we'd visit my Uncle Henry in Connecticut. And Uncle Henry loved to take pictures and movies, 8mm movies, the silent kind. And he loved to show slides. He had a slide projector. And I used to love it as a kid. I would love when he said, "You want to see some slides?" Like him and my aunt had gone on a trip, let's say. And they would have slides of their trip. And they would turn out the lights, and they would put up that screen. Do you remember that? Does that ring a bell? And let's see what color that is. They would turn on that projector, and that projector would be whirring, make that whirring noise, Do you remember? Does that ring a bell for you, any of you guys? Just whirring away. However you may. I can't reproduce the sound with my voice. But I used to love it. And then he would show slides of places that I had never been. Places I'll never go. And it was a way of going to those places. Uncle Henry showed me places I don't even know at this point in my memory. I don't even know where he showed us places from. But it was magical to watch that. Some of the grown-ups would moan, "Oh no, Henry's going to show slides. Oh no." But I didn't. I loved seeing those slides. I did. I was the kid who loved them. So he would take us by way of a slideshow to these places, and he would talk about them, and sometimes he would dwell on one slide or another for whatever reason. Maybe he just thought it was beautiful. And it was always beautiful. I used to love those things. So yesterday, I sort of had that experience again. But in today's world, people don't pull out slide projectors. Instead, they pull out their phone and they hook up their phone to their TVs. And their TV becomes the screen, and their phone becomes the projector. And once again, the magic of a slideshow happens, and it happened yesterday. Robin's brother and his wife and their son, they went on a trip to Alaska. I've never been to Alaska. It's odd that I'm watching a slideshow from Alaska, by the way, because just like last week, a group from our church went to Alaska. And they also were talking about it. Alaska is so large that some of the things you see are different from other places. There's so many places, so large. You know, if you think about it, I'm from New York City, and New York City seems large to people, but really it's not. You could walk all the way. It's only 5 miles from the south part of Central Park to the south part, the southernmost tip of Manhattan Island. That's right, it's only 5 miles. A lot of people don't realize that. But anyway, let's get back to Alaska. So they showed this slide show through their phone onto their TV of this place in Alaska called Kenai Fjords. Have you ever heard of Kenai Fjords? Kenai Fjords. Yeah, I might be saying it wrong. But it was so enchanting. Every single picture was beautiful. Every one of them. And just like my Uncle Henry, Ramona was showing her. Ramona is Robin's sister-in-law. And she was narrating, and she was talking about all these places. And it was just as magical as when my Uncle Henry did it. Just as magical. And I was probably her biggest fan in the room, just saying, "Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful." And one of the things is the one that drew me to this painting today, is this gigantic rock structure. Oh, it's going to be there in a second. I'm going to paint it in there. But this beautiful rock structure that just is topped with trees. Just topped. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I went to Alaska yesterday without leaving Florida. I went to Alaska through somebody else's words, through somebody else's pictures. Part of their trip was on a train, so I got to look out the window of a train too. That's kind of cool. So it was a very beautiful visit, and I hope I can capture it somehow in this painting here. You can never really do it justice. I have never been there, so I don't even know how well those photographs capture it. I don't know. But usually, in my experience, nothing compares to being there. I've been to the Grand Canyon, and nothing compares to being there. I've taken photographs. I've looked at other people's photographs. I bought a poster. I bought a poster of the Grand Canyon by a professional photographer. And it's a beautiful poster. But you know what? Nothing compares to being there. If you want to go see it, you got to go see it yourself. How many times in your life have you heard somebody say, don't wait, do it now while you can? Do it now. I looked for a poem specifically about the Kenai Peninsula, and I couldn't find a poem specifically about that. But there's a lot of writing about Alaska. Do you know, if from a political point of view, it's interesting how we claim things as ours. The whole Seward's Folly story, where the United States bought Alaska from Russia, that whole thing. I wonder why we as people have to be that way. I wonder why we can't just say this is part of Earth and let's keep it looking nice. Let's keep it as beautiful and glorious as God made it. What I'm always taken by is how nature survives, how animals survive. So all I'm doing now is painting the water, trying to make sure I get it looking right. And right there's that hazy background there. All that's going on there. Now right here, I want to put that rock that juts out, just pushes up out of that water. And then there's a few smaller ones over here that I'll put in there. So I gotta let this dry first, and it's almost dry. I think it is dry. Let me see if I can work it now. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to start with this dirty brown or this dirty orange. Just take it and make it a very raggedy. Let's see, I only want to make it... It looks very tall in the picture, but I want to make sure I keep room for the trees. Because there's trees on it. It's kind of an amazing thing to say this. I've seen paintings from people who I know through the business, through the art business. I've seen paintings of scenes that were for like storybooks or for movies, and they have islands that just jut out. And sometimes they're not even touching the ground, sometimes they're just floating. And now that I've seen these pictures, I think this must have been the inspiration. This must have been what inspired those kinds of paintings. Maybe they've seen pictures, or maybe they've been to Alaska. All right, that's I just did that lightly so I could kind of work it. I can always make it darker. That's going to be that one island. There's going to be a little tiny one over here. I don't know if these little stone anomalies, I don't know if they have names. I'm calling them islands. But I do have a reference photo. I told Ramona that I wanted to use her photographs as reference photos. I'm sure she would let me. But in fact, I will tell you this card is going to them. This will be their card. I mean, they treated me to such a nice slideshow. Not only that, but they treated me to they treated Robin and I and Robin's mom. They treated us all to a nice dinner. Yeah, they made some nice food. So I can't complain. No complaints. They live about, I would say, 85 miles from here. North of here. In fact, they are who we're going to meet up with in Gatlinburg in a couple of months. We're going to meet up with them and stay in an Airbnb. It's going to be my second time ever in an Airbnb. The first time was a great experience. This one looks nice too. They've already picked it out and everything. So I'm going to bring my paints and I'm going to paint up there too. I should do that more often. How you guys doing anyway? I've been reading some of the things you write. Oh gosh, thank you so much for writing. Some of those things you write make me laugh. I love you sharing your stories, by the way. So this rock is very rocky, but I don't want to worry about it too much. I'm just going to let the water do its thing. I have to let that dry too before I can put another layer on it. But in the meantime, I can put trees on it. And all these things have some reflections going on in the water too. So I can put just a few areas down here, a little bit darker than the rest of it. Yeah, they made and she made brownies yesterday too. Those were good. Those were real good. Kind of a brownie fan. I love brownies. Not funny what we talk about. They were asking about this page, this channel, by the way. They were asking about the Poppa Paints channel. I think what I do is kind of a mystery to them. And I told them, and then their son, who's like in his 20s, he went on his phone. I'm pretty sure he looked us up. So maybe we have a new subscriber that maybe he's one of my subscribers. I don't know. He didn't say. He's kind of shy. He's very shy, actually. I was shy when I was his age too. I'm still shy. I think the radio business forced me to not be so shy, because I always had to interview people. Alright, let's let that dry. Now I want to try and put some trees on there. I don't even dare use this big brush. I'm afraid I will mess it up. So I'm going to take that little tiny brush I have. I have one in here that is really tiny. Oh, there it is. It's right there in front of me. Right there. Look how tiny that brush is. Real tiny. So I'm going to use that. Let's go ahead and take one of these lines. Make a line. Very tiny line. Go ahead and do the Bob Ross thing. The happy little tree sitting on top of a rock. This place right here must be a safe place for some animals. Of course, I don't know that, but I wonder about it. Like, is this a place where they can hide from the predators? And the predators can't get to them, maybe. I just think it was so fascinating that these trees are growing so high on just a rock in the middle of a body of water in Alaska somewhere. And you know what? I looked it up on Google, and this picture right here that I'm painting, everybody who was there takes a picture of this place. It looks like this place is very popular. So if it has a name, I couldn't find a place that named this particular rock, but I bet it has a name. I don't know that for a fact, but I bet it does. But I just loved the way this looked sitting out there in the water. Just gloriously standing there, just defying everything. Defying everything we believe about the world. Maybe not scientifically defying things, but in my mind, it's defying things. Just making a lot of trees here, little happy little trees. I love that expression that Bob Ross came up with. When Robin and I went to his grave, I really felt like we visited him. I don't mean in spirit. I don't really mean that I felt him there. That's not what I mean. I just felt like he went from being an icon to being a person. By visiting his grave, I think in my mind he morphed. At least my relationship with him. Is that fair to say that? The way I feel about him. I feel like I know him now a little bit. Like before I knew about him, now I know him. Isn't that weird? All we did was go to his grave. See, there's another tree right here. A little bit shorter than that one. Yeah, this was one of the most magical things for me in her slideshow yesterday. I can't wait to give her the card. I think it's coming out okay. Do you think it's coming out all right? It looks kind of all right to me. If you think about it from an art point of view, it's kind of a simple illustration. Oh, there's just one tree over here. I didn't see that one. There's one poking out over the edge here. Just a little happy little tree looking out the side. Wow. I didn't see that earlier. That's one thing about art, is you observe things. That's kind of cool. There might even be a few over on these rocks, but I don't think so. All right, one more tree over here. It's about the same height, but it looks like it's a little bit wider. Just take this little tiny brush and just really build up this tree here. And then what I'll do is I'll go back onto the rock and I'll enlarge, I'll darken the shadows on the rock, and maybe even some of the shadows in the water, or the reflections in the water. That looks nice. Okay, now there's some noticeable dark areas in the rock itself. Little areas that are capturing the light. Probably if I lit it up, if I went to another picture where it was lit differently, I could see all the little crevices. But I don't think that's necessary. I just think it's a beautiful thing. And it was a beautiful experience yesterday, even though I didn't actually go there. I went there in my mind, just like with Uncle Henry's projector. The projector was a magical thing. And now the phone. Now the phone is a magical thing. I'm kind of imagining what this rock looks like. I'm trying to imagine some of these little areas here that have maybe little crevices and dark areas and light areas. Like in all of nature, there's all those reflections and shadows and everything. I wonder if there are any caves in this rock, like underneath, little hiding places for the animals. They said it wasn't that cold. Now that think about this, they're from Florida. They went to Alaska, and it wasn't that cold to them. So it must be nice there. I've never been there, so maybe some of you have. Maybe watching this video is bringing back memories for you. Or maybe you live there now. If you live there, if you know anything, I would love to know if these rocks have a name. If each rock has a name, like is this one called like Seward's Rock or something? Seward is the guy. Oh gosh, I don't know if he was the Secretary of State, but he was, when Alaska was purchased. When was that? I don't even know when that was. But remember, I wasn't alive, I don't think. No, I think it was before my time. But anyway, there's a lot of the areas are named after Seward in this part of the world. And I only know that because she was talking about it. She was referencing the name Seward. I might use a little bit of gouache before I get done. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I'm not going to mess too much with these other rocks. I want to keep them sort of in the distance and sort of mysterious, like fogged over. But I want to make sure I get some of these reflections here for this big old stone. Just get it up there. I think I'm almost done, believe it or not. The only thing I was thinking is I could use a little bit of gouache right there to accentuate where the ocean or the water is hitting it. So let me get some gouache. Is this gouache? Yeah, this is gouache. Okay. A little bit of gouache. I must not have opened this one before. This must be a brand new one. I buy paint sometimes and forget that I bought it. No, that's not new. I must have just put it in the box. Well, that's unusual for me. Put some in the box. Alright, now let's just get a little bit of this white. Just a little bit. That's not good. See what I'm doing? I'm putting black into the white. That's not good. No. Come on, Poppa, don't make a mess. Alright, now let's just put a little bit of this white here. Like there's some crashing up on it. Just some white caps where the water is hitting it. Get some more. Just a little hint over here too. Just give it that look that there's maybe some crashing waves a little bit over there. Just you can hear it in your mind. I think we're almost done. Well, thank you for joining me today to do this. This was a fun one. Just to remember something I've never been to relive something they went through. You know? There's, well, that's kind of cool. Add a little bit of white to these reflections. Well, there, I think I'm done. Except for the back of the card, which I will smear like cream cheese on a bagel. There we go. Just, that brush is full of paint. I'm not going to spread it too much. I'm just going to make it very, just spread it out a little bit. Almost. Now let that dry and I'll be right back. Alright. Now let's fold it. It does not look as magnificent as her photographs. But there it is. Someplace I've never been, except through the magic of storytelling and the magic of a slideshow. The Kenai Fjords, off the Kenai Peninsulas, right? Off the Kenai Peninsula of Alaska. Maybe one day I'll be there. But until now, I went there in my mind, and you came with me. And maybe you've been there. Maybe you live there now. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.